Hello YouTube viewers, welcome to my channel Science to Technology. In today's show, Future Friday, we're gonna talk about a dark topic but a necessary one for our future, that is medical assistance in deleting, MAID basically of Canada. So why exactly we are talking about medical science and deleting, given the fact that the whole point of medical science is pushing death away, and we have done an amazing job of it. But you have to understand, you could reach a point now, which again more and more people are reaching, that's why this is becoming a topic worldwide, is that we are living too long and suffering. Now, what does that mean? That simply means there is a point where you have life. Basically, you have energy, you have metabolism, your horsepower is there, you are doing things, you are on your own. But then you could reach some state like this where you are just like, yeah, you're there. And how long? No, till you go away, basically. And that's not acceptable. Like, you are just there for there itself. Like, the bed is the permanent residence of you for years. That's like pointless. Now, let that be very clear. Suffering is part of life. Duh, that's like water, wet. But here's the deal, there are two types of suffering. One that leads to something, another that is meaningless, pointless. So when you have pointless suffering, it is pointless. So this state basically becomes what we call as absolute pointless suffering till the end, because again, there is no coming back from this. It's not like, oh, most of the people come back. No, 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 no. We have a whole section, whole ward of a hospital, everything where there is no U-turn. Like, you go there, you're done. Like, you're not coming back. So fundamentally, this is a very serious scenario, because here's the deal. Terminal illness is real. You can talk about, oh, this 1 in a billion case survived and this happened. Yeah, of course that could happen. But that's just exception to the rule, not the rule. There are many diseases that are terminal. Terminal meaning there is no cure. And you can do the best you can do, but the reality would be your quality of life will degrade so much, and worst case scenario, you could cling to life for very long duration while suffering meaninglessly without any rest, and is just bad fundamentally. And fundamentally, more and more people are being exposed to it, because again, our medical science has become really good, and there is this ugly period where basically our life span has been pushed, but our quality of life is still determined by gene code, not by the medicine. Like, medicine can push the illness away and basically make sure you cling to life, but vitality cannot be given back to you. That's the problem. Basically, again, go to a certified clinician if you really want to dive deep into it, people who do research on it. But the idea is that your DNA has a buffer data set, basically consumable part. Now, once that consumable part gets destroyed, consumed by the fact that every time it's replicating and recoding itself, it will create defective clones. Basically, your cell, even though it quote unquote creates a new material, basically consumes new food, creates a new clone, the clone is not healthy. Even though new cells were created, it's not healthy, it's not up to the mark, so to say. That's what aging is. Inherently, basically, your cell is no longer dividing into good and healthy cells, it's just dividing. Basically, the buffer data set has been destroyed. Now, again, the buffer data set in some people, it could be so good, they could like literally go to 80 and they're like, GG. And there are some people who are like unlucky, who are like 60 is like, just because their cells divided, but basically they aged out, and nothing can be done about that. We can push the death away, we're good with that. We just can't pull your metabolism, so to say. Like, we are not there yet as of now. So more and more people are being exposed to it, basically, where they are like, dude, my ticket should have been cut. Like, me done long ago, and I'm just clinging to this realm for no reason and suffering for no reason. And again, let that be very clear. This is not being said by people who are outside. These are being said by people who are in the bed itself. So that is there. And can't cure. And all the doctors they are doing is basically prolonging their suffering. So there is a bitterness to it. And again, there is this being said by the people who are in that bed. It's not like, okay, it's from outside. No, no, no. This is about the people who are on the bed itself. So fundamentally, and many what you call chronic illness. Now, we have bitch slapped way too many diseases. So many times you feel like, we good, we got this, and we have good, we got this, but not with everything. There are still diseases, and again, those things were never an issue simply because other diseases were kicking our ass. We bitch slapped all of them, and now it's like, oh, the final bosses are really bad. Like, oh, Alzheimer's is like, that's bad. Parkinson, ooh, God help you. So there are many things now where it's like, whoa, these are the final bosses. It's not like diarrhea were poofing large section of population where it's like WHO ORS. go. Now we are reaching like the boss battle, so to say. So many of such chronic illness and still exist, and it's a very dark place. Like think in this way: if somebody actually showed you like how bad it goes, and let me be clear, even doctors don't get exposed to it. The people who get exposed is the people who are doing the palliative care, basically nurses. You could have a healthy person, right? Let's say grandpa. Grandpa is cool, grandpa is awesome, children love them, everything, but missile happens, missile fires, Alzheimer's happens, and bad one, not the good one, bad one. And you're like, what does good and bad? Depends. Like some diseases expands very quickly, destroys your basically neural processor very too quickly. Others take its sweet time. Now here's the deal: in that point in time, that person could become so basically, who are you? It's you. Basically everything here is what is you fundamentally, and what is inside that is you. It's your memories. If your memory gets shift deleted, if you do not know who your wife is, if you do not know who your kids are, you do not know who your grandkid is, the world is horrifying. Your brain knows, like brain knows there's supposed to be data here. Brain knows there's supposed to be some family here. It just does not know the folder is missing. Like not folder, I would say file inside the folder is missing, and you freak out, and it's horrifying. And again, people will say like even though they're old, they know for a fact that like their parents have passed away long ago. They're shocked because again the future folder has been deleted, so they're like, the computer is scanning, that the brain is scanning very desperately. It's like cling me to something that I know, like I should not be all alone. And then it's like, okay, I must have parents. It's like, no sir, that happened like 30 years ago and all that. It's horrifying. And again, it's very bad for the children specifically. Like imagine your grandfather goes from like, oh, my grandpa, I'm having awesome camcorder memories and all that, everything is GG, and then it's a person that does not even know you. It's like, who are you? Why are you clinging to me? It's like, it's horrifying, really bad for the children. So there are dark places. We try to push them that it does not exist, but it exists. And more people are being exposed to it simply because we are living so long. We are like pushing so many diseases that only boss battles are remaining, and that is horrifying. So, and your memory will get replaced. That's the most tragic part for everybody around you. Not for you, for everyone around, because you kaput, you already kaput, but everybody around you, basically a warm person could literally be remembered as just a person who was cuckoo. Like imagine, like you lived, let's just say 70 years. Last 10 years, you got like a really bad case of shift delete, and nature was not kind to you. Like people will remember that last 10 years, that 60 years will be disappeared. Like people have to go back into their memory and like really think about it, and they might find it. And again, this is a bad design of human neurology, whereas like because of survival protocols, our brain keeps the trauma in 4K HD, like GG, like 4K, like 10-bit, and like HDR, not HDR, Dolby Vision. Like we store trauma like with full quality, but joy, who cares? It's like, that's the worst design of human psychology. Like that is really bad. So you could literally have 60 years of good life that will be deleted, and you will have just that 10 years of trauma, and that will override your whole life. Like imagine it that happening to you, where it's like every good thing you did is now replaced by a person that is not you because your memory is gone. It's horrifying. Like TV shows, movies, they do not show you the full darkness because again, it's hard. It's bad. So, and we have to understand this aspect, which again a doctor said it quite well, is that if before 1900s, everybody was getting poofed in their own bed in their own house. It was normal to pass in your house, but as medical science became, we started to push death. And again, we reached a point where nobody passes in their house anymore. Everybody passes in a hospital bed. So death has become a very foreign concept. We are not okay with it anymore because we are not seeing it. It's not like, oh, grandpa was here, this is the last room. It's like, it's a normal part of life to something that happens. So we are not dealing with it as adequately as we should. So, and we have to realize we are just able to delay death. Like we're good. Like I have to say, doctors are doing awesome job, GG job. They are pushing death and they are really good at it. But they cannot delay it forever. So we are not immortal, and fundamentally dignity matters at the most. Now this is the time where your life decision actually starts to come back to bite you. Basically at that point in time, if that last 10 years becomes the traumatic years for everybody who give a damn about you to be there, and that point all your dignity will be disappeared. Like nothing, deleted. Because again, you are gonna pass. Like here's the deal, you gonna pass. It's not like, oh, I'm gonna live forever. No, you gonna pass. But here's the deal, that last few years could destroy what you will towards. That's at that point you will understand why people give a damn about dignity so much. and why like emperor empresses, when they it was their time to be poofed by like invading armies and all that, it had to be done properly. Like there is a reason for that. So it's a very dark reality that we are reaching there, but again, it has to be there. Like death cannot be shift deleted, so to say. It shift deletes us, we cannot delete shift death. So we are reaching a serious point because more and more people are being exposed to it. So we have defeated all the easy diseases, but bad diseases are now causing some serious harm. So there are two primary targets here. The first target is old. Now let that be very clear. I'm not talking about from the outside. I'm talking literally the talking points I'm linked a lot of video. It's literally from old people itself, not from someone around us. Like it's not, oh, they are a burden. No, it's the old people who are themselves. So fundamentally, there is a point where your body will give up. Duh, like water, wet. So it will happen where your body will start to fail, and systematic failures will happen. Meaning, Suits had a very interesting line. Was her grandma was like, Mike Ross had a grandma. She's like, oh, did not tell you that is had this disease. Like I'm 87 or something. Like I'm this old. I have everything problem now. Like that's the reality of it. Your body starts to break down. Your cells, even though they are dividing, they are not healthy anymore. So fundamentally, everything is just on borrowed time at that point. So that will happen. It even if you have a very good telomere length, it's delayed, but it's never bye. No. It will happen. So there is a point. And prolonged suffering is pointless. Let that be very clear. Like this, you can have a scenario where it's just like you are on a bed, and that's it. You're gonna be in their bed for 5 years, 6 years. It's not useful if to you only, because, and again, God help you if you are like fully sentient, like your brain is fully working and your body is kaput. It's a bad place to be. So fundamentally, prolonged suffering, there is no point to it, and you can't function on your own. So majority of people, this is the time where they want to have that shift delete button, is that when you can't function on your own, meaning you go from like I'm able to take care of myself to like no, somebody else has to help me to poop, or worst case scenario I have to poop in a pan in a bed. They're like, yo, this is the time where it's like, you know what, now is the time to treat it. So, and you're like, okay, no, other people should take care of it. Yes, deal. I'm not talking about other people. I'm talking about the people who are in there itself. There are many people like that is the last step for them. That's the last line. Is like, no, me kaput. If this has to happen to me, I'm already kaput. Just put me out of my misery. It's like nobody wants to be. I would not want to be. I would never ever want to be in a scenario where I have to beg someone to clean my pots. Even if, let's just say, knock on wood, I have something that can take care of that. I would never want that to happen on someone else. It's like, that's not something that I wish. So, and again, you could, worst case scenario, you are, have multiple tubes, nose and all that tubes, and that's it. And his deal, that's still end, like until you pass. It's not like, oh, temporary or this. No, you're gonna die. It's just delaying the death. So that's a very serious, dangerous point. Like nobody wants to be like Patrick Stewart. He is literally advocating for this, and he had a very close call, so to say. So he had a good family member, good friend, and that friend wife had a very serious terminal illness. Now, again, painful terminal illness are so bad that all you have is drugs, and they do not work. Basically, you start to take them and they reach a point where they are saturating you and you no longer working. And trust me, you do not want to look certain illnesses that are so brutal that they make morphine useless. Not even joking, and I do not wish that on anyone, not even people who I hate. It's like, that's how bad it is. And like, she tried to poof herself, failed, and she tried again, but this time she's like asked her husband, hey, can you take out the dog and like have a last trip at night and all that. And that time she put a plastic bag, kaput. He talks about it. And again, if you are suffering that much, I understand that, like fundamentally, because yes, deal, you have to understand, the last memory of you is everyone around you. If your misery is starting to reflect back from their eyes, it starts to horrify you, because that's who you will be. That's who you will be. Like it, all your good life and all that will be overwritten by the 4K of your suffering. You do not want that. So fundamentally, there are many people who are personal people, like, no, I do not want to have this sort of rotten life where I'm just rotting for the rotting sake. There is no reason for it. So that's the whole point. So what these people are asking for is like, please give us the option, like just have something where it's like, if I need to, like if my body is like, no, I'm out, and I'm like, just, and again, I think USA also has this what we call do not resuscitate. Basically, if some person is diagnosed terminally for religious reason, or how this works is legally is a bit confusing to me, but it's there that doctors will not try to revive you. So But again, there are other places where they will try to revive you, and people do not want to be revived. It's like, imagine like you are 80 years old and somebody revived you and it cracked your basically rib cage, which does happen. Don't ask how people know. It's like, and again, you're just suffering, extra suffering, and then you pass. What was the point? So fundamentally, now back in the old days, there was solutions for this. Basically, physicians will be like, give the family members the option. Here's the medication. You can just like not give it or overdose. Like, there were like a actual understanding that suffering for the suffering's sake is not valuable or useful or desirable for anyone. You can make a decision. Now, since it has been outlawed, nobody will do that anymore. So worst case scenario, you could literally have a basically painful old individual that is begging you to put them out of their misery, and you cannot do anything. So this is what they are asking for. It's like, do not force us into misery, because again, most of the time they will be kaput long ago if we did not admit it. So basically, the time has come. No point in rotting. That's the whole point. Like, give my choice over my death. Like, and I have to agree with that, because again, if I have to be in that position, I would like the option. It's like, hey, I lived my life. I did the best I could do. Now let's wrap the chapter up, so to say. And again, he also had like, random scenarios, like he went to shoot and all that. He was doing something, and then randomly he went to a doctor. It's like normal checkup, and it's like, no, cancel those things. It's like, what? It's like, oh, I'm also aging. So let that be very clear. This is real, and I'm not talking about people around them. I'm talking about the people who are in that bed. It's not good. And everybody is like, do not, I does not mean like, I want that shift delete button right now. It simply means have that option. Give me the option that if I reach a point where like, my suffering is starting to reflect back, shift delete. No, you will not suffer anymore. So it's a very valid point, and I cannot disagree with that. It's like, because again, we have pushed the death so far, but quality of life has not caught up with it. Now we come to the more slippery slope point, which is illness. Now here's the deal. There are many incurable illness that can happen to young also. Things like that happen. And worst case scenarios, they will look fine. Meaning, there was a woman, Dr. Phil did an interview. I think I have linked a lot of videos down below. Please do check them out. She had an issue where she had an injury, and she was screaming in pain, and nobody took it seriously. But by the time people started to actually look why you are in pain, and it's like, oh, your nerve damage. Now, nerve damage is one thing where it's like, done. You're done. Basically, I'm not buttering you. It is like, you're done. In most scenarios, you will be in painkiller 24/7 into 365. And those painkiller will slowly become ineffective, depending on the case. So she was in the interview, and she would look fine. It's like, hey, you look fine. She's not fine. She's always in pain. And people who have chronic pain, they're like, bro, that's literally zombie state. Because again, they have to dull the pain, because it's like your brain is screaming 24/7. You can't do anything. So it was very bitter. But again, she was very clear about it. It's like, I tried everything. First I was screaming, and then people ignored it, and then it's like kaput. So fundamentally, in those sort of scenario, people do want, again, chronic pain is brutal. I had just a taste of it, not chronic, thankfully. When my slip disc was bad in last year's August, like this was bad. Like this back part, yeah, L5 was bad. Like I was in pain 24/7, and I was bitter. And again, imagine that was just like, temporary, like few months. So some people have to go through that years. And again, they could be like the most loving, warm person to bitter person. And I would not blame them. It's like, dude, if your brain is screaming 24/7 into 365, you gonna go cuckoo. Like that's life. That will happen to you. So in those sort of scenario, they have a very simple point. It's like, illness ended your life. Like when she had that incident, her life should have ended at that point in time. It's just that medical science pushed the death, but they could not repair you properly, or quality of life. So death at that point is a relief. So for example, if a 20-year-old or 30-year-old goes through terminal cancer and all that, and it's like, cancer ended your life. You are not ending your life. Cancer did that. Cancer fired missile, and missile hit you. The end. Cancer did that. It's just you are like not giving cancer the joy of making you suffer. It's like, hey, you hit me, cool, awesome, I'm out. So fundamental. Now here's the deal. So far, people are resistant, but they're like, okay, we can get it. But mental illness are getting into it, and there are some mental illness that is genuinely uncurable. Duh. But that's a slippery slope point of view. And Fundamentally, anybody who has a mental illness, the thing that they are not worried about is about themselves. They are worried about is people around them. It's like, bro, like, again, it sounds very good. It's like, in sickness, in health. You don't want to put anyone in sickness. You do not want to put them. You do not wish for your spouse or your family to be in hospital 24 into 7 into 365. You do not want that. So fundamentally, and some people just break. And let that be clear, this breaking part is very personal. Some people have gone through what I've gone through and they're like, bruh, I ain't got time for that. Some people have gone through exact same thing I'm doing and they have shift deleted themselves. I have court case and my court case date is on Tuesday next week. Basically, my life would be decided on that day. And again, more than enough Indian men, generally 100,000 Indian men per year shift delete themselves. That's how bad that is. Now, I've been lucky because I have a lot of good things going on in my life, so I can endure it. But again, some people will break. If they did not, like, again, I would break if I did not have all the infrastructure around me that is helping me to stay sane. So people break. I do not judge people. It's like, oh, you shouldn't like endure. Like, see, to endure something, you have to have something to hold on to. If there is nothing to hold on to, you can't. So people do break. And at that point in time, there's a bitter reality to it. It's like they're going to shift delete anyway. It's like, might as well give them the dignity. Now, that's a very bitter reality and people are not very okay with that. I understand that. But reality is reality. 100,000 men annually. So, yeah. Now, let's understand the collateral side effect of this topic that has it happening. And again, let that be clear, it's not just Canada only. It's already in some places in USA. And there is a talk about making it federalized, as in like whole USA, and other European countries are also working on it. So collateral is there. Now, what's the worst collateral that people are worried about? And which again, I genuinely see the point, is that it will help basically halt medical R&D, especially on terminal illnesses. Basically, oh, you have ALS or you have Parkinson or like, something. It's like, why research on it? It's like, oh, when people happens, we have this solution made, just like tada. And again, if companies have to pull the risk, because even if doctor is like, no, I'm going to dedicate my life into it, without billion-dollar companies working their ass off into it, you will never have a medication coming out of it. Again, let that be clear, we have cleared all the easy diseases now. All the diseases that are remaining, those are boss battles. So and boss battle does require a lot of resources. So that could happen and would happen. I can easily see that, whereas like, for example, in Canada's case, where they're like, hey, you have this problem, how about MAID? And which again, this does make me very angry, where like a lot of Indians in my last video about like, birth rate and all that, they were claiming, I was like, oh, have you seen the condition? Like, have you seen condition of Canada? They have what we call universal healthcare. Translation, they don't have healthcare. They don't. Go to UK. My friend is there. He's like, bro, they don't have doctors. Like these are so like first world countries. It's so uselessly expensive and so rare that in Canada, many people who are like, okay, they being diagnosed with let's say cancer, it takes 6 months to do anything else. 6 months, like, bruh, you did. Like, if you take care of that in that point, it's like minor inconvenience, take it and go. 6 months later, yeah, it's terminal. Have you looked into MAID? And again, the one mean thing that they did, that was like what we call mean spirited, is like they had a soldier who had an issue with PTSD and he's like, okay, have you looked into MAID? I'm like, what the hell? So I do understand that part. Like, instead of solving the problem, just like, shift delete everything. So I do understand that fear is genuine. It's here. It's real. So nothing can be said about it. It is what it is. Maybe in future we could have a scenario where if humanity goes through all this suffering for, let's just say, a century or more, and we might finally figure out gene therapy, finally figure out stem cell therapy, where you can actually repair the gene code. I don't think you can do that on a living creature, but maybe, or at least nerve damage or slip disc damage or something like that. That should be possible. Teeth should be possible. If that can be done, and of course, that will have exponentially high quality of life, so to say. And again, that at that point we'll like 80 and 90 we still have quality of life. That would be awesome, but we are not there yet, and we might not get there if more and more people just like, what, let's cut it short. So that's a valid point. If anybody is against it, that's a valid point that cannot be just lolled about. So that is there. Now, what about people surrounding them? Whenever somebody talks about like shift deleting, they are talking about people around them, not themselves. So some will find peace. For example, I'm at a age where I've gone to what we call Shraddh in India. It's basically when somebody passes. Now, there are a lot of people who passed recently. Those are old age, very old age, like 80, basically grandma level age. So they've been through life, like they've seen the whole chapter of life. Basically, they had their kids grew up, their kids got married, those couple had kids, and that kids also grew to basically full life, as we call it. Full life they've seen there, and then they passed. So those sort of shraddh, when we go to there, it's a very peaceful. It's like, hey, they had a good life, good. Like, again, beginning, middle, end, normal. But unfortunately, and God, it's like weird things have happened. Too many young people have passed recently. And at that point in time, it's very difficult. Again, let them be very clear. The smaller the coffin, the heavier the coffin. So some people will find peace when somebody does this. Some people will find anguish. Like, for example, if a 30-year-old girl decides to shift delete herself, her parents would be like left with anguish, with no, what you call, recourse, so to say. And again, it will be anguish. There is no two-way about it, so to say. So that will happen. Let the be clear, that will happen. It's a collateral part. It will happen. And some people will abuse the system. And to that is like, in other news, water is wet. Another, there's a lot of religious opposition. Now, do I respect that? Well, faith is personal. Let that be very clear. Faith is very personal thing. You give a damn about it or you don't give a damn about it. And you give a damn about your specific chapter. There are 5 chapters on earth, majority-wise, population-wise. And there are 20 if you look into smaller chapters. But that's all we have. And if your faith says this is not okay to you, it is not okay to you. The end. It's a personal thing. Although some people do say, bring out some bitter points, which again, I do not know how true it is. But apparently when people used to be owned, a lot of people were smart and they started to shift delete themselves. And then they're like, whoa, 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 this whole business will fail. So they're like, okay, they edited the books to, no, if you shift delete, you go into hell. I do not know how true it is, or is this a meme? But like, that would be sad. But such is life. So there are a lot of religious opposition against it. Let that be very clear. Everywhere. Like, that's why it's only Canada, Australia, 1 or 2 places in Europe. That's it. And 1 or 2 places in USA. Now, whenever somebody is talking about something like this, you have to understand people will start firing missiles at you. Like me in this scenario, because I'm talking about this. So what's my personal data take on that? Well, very simple. I believe in choice above all else. What does that mean? That simply means, let's just put it this way. You are a person, and you are in a place where you have police officer, you have security cameras, and you find a wallet near you. You take out the wallet, you give it to police officer. Now here's the deal. Were you a good person or were you a scared person? We do not know, because you did not have the ability of choice. If you are taken it, security camera, police, duh. Now imagine the same thing, but it's in middle of nowhere, and like, let's just say some remote location. You were sitting, you find it. But here still, you took it, you open it, and you're like, hey, the code number is there, or this or that, or email or something. You ID was there. You use them to contact them. It's like, hey, I found your wallet. This is what it is. So that's a good person. So there is a very big difference between good person and scared person. And I want people to be good person, not scared person. Now, of course, I do want safety and security, so people do not get overboard. Like, let's apply some brakes. Of course, I do understand that fear where people have is like, what if the person in front of me is not very humane, so to say. But such is life. But again, I always put choice above all else. It's like, whose life, should I live my life or should I end my life? It has to be my choice. Fundamentally, I will not give a damn about religion. I will not give a damn about law. It has to be my choice. Has to be. So that's there. So person must have right to choose. Like, again, I will never like the idea of making this choice for anyone else. But as long as they have the right to make the choice, I will be okay either way. So that's the whole point. And there is a reality of it. Is like, you have not what we call caused death. Illness has done that. Like, imagine you had a car accident, bad one, which again, a young boy, younger than me, had this issue, and a bad incident, like bad, and struggled for like almost a month and then passed. So in those sort of scenarios, it's like, did the doctor did it? No, it's the accident. Now again, he was not MAID or something like that. It's just that he passed after 1 month of suffering. So if that 1 month could have been, or like, other decisions or other worst case scenario could have happened, in those scenario, it's not the person, even the person who himself is like, drinking the final juice. It's not them. It's the disease that did it. It's just like removing the joy from the disease. It's like, you're not going to make me suffer. So that is there. Now people will like, okay, this system will be abused, which again, I do get it. Like, Canada is doing law, which again makes me really very angry at my fellow Indians. It's like, India is so bad. It's like, dude, do you not know that Americans are coming to India for medical treatment? It's like, if our population shrinks, we'll lose everything. That's why when we were very small in population, we were starving to death. Every place is the same. It's like Japan. It's like, no, Japan is only Japan because they had MNC, multinational corporations. All the companies start to ship everywhere. If the whole world population collapses, medical science will be the first thing to go away. It takes a lot of people to make even one medication. So fundamentally, it's like, it will be abused. Of course it will be. Have you ever been to your family court near you? Please go. I dare you. 120 country. I dare you. Like, this is my country. I used to be so proud of about India's religion, its culture, its ethos. We used to have a word, Sanskriti. And then my Supreme Court. No matter who gets your wife pregnant, the husband is still legally considered the father. Supreme Court, I can't even challenge this anymore. So, if somebody says, oh, it will be abused, water is wet. So, and palliative care, we're like, okay, palliative care should be the option. Yeah, it's not magical. And again, people who are in that deathbed, they are not happy with that. They are not happy with that. They are, fighting. Like, can you imagine what it must take for old people to come to streets and like fight for a right change? Like, think about it. So, and again, there is a point where like Canada is, because again, they don't have good enough doctors. It's like, or like enough doctors. It's like, you know what if we underage children, as in under 18, made them? It's like, yeah, that is scary. And I understand that. Like, I understand as in like, yeah, that's scary, that is dark, that is messed up. But it was bound to happen. Like, if you have shittier health infrastructure than India, it's like, come on, man. Like, you messed up badly. So this was my presentation on this MAID debacle that is going on. But again, we all have to go through this one way or the other, sooner or later. So I hope this gave you some perspective, some opinion. Please watch the videos. I have linked a lot of them. Like it if you have enjoyed it. If you did not like it, you do not agree with it, you can press dislike. That's up to you. You can leave a comment because I do try to reply to all of them. Subscribe, press the bell icon if you're free. And as always, thanks for watching.